Kratos is so weak that he struggles to open a small chest. Sorry, I meant Kratos is so strong that he can flip an entire temple upside down easily. Today we're gonna look at every game and find out when Kratos was the strongest, starting with God of War 1.
God of War.
Yep, that's what I said. In this game, Kratos is just a demigod. He can lift human-sized enemies with one hand and tear them apart like they're made out of paper. He can also use Rage of the Gods to harness infinite magic without overloading himself and fucking exploding. But unfortunately, that's about the limit of his strength. The Minotaur minigame requires Kratos to overpower a two-legged cow with genuine effort. Satyrs force Kratos into playing tug of war, and sometimes he actually loses. He doesn't fight Cyclops head on and instead jumps around their body like a cracked up squirrel searching for a nut. He struggles to move basically everything in the game. Levers, cranks, guys who are great at standing in cages. You're doing awesome, buddy. Hey, close your eyes. I got you something. It's fire for your whole body. Bye. But his strength is super inconsistent. Opening doors is somehow laborious for Kratos, who not 5 minutes later will wrestle a 50-foot Hydra head onto a pole like it's light work. But let's try to ignore the parts where he's weak just for gameplay mechanics. His weakest moment has gotta be when he struggles to remove the skulls from dudes who have been dead. They made my man smash R2 like it owed him Greek money, aka money. Every time I have to do this, I'm amazed that it takes even 5 seconds to win a fight with a dead guy. Kratos' strongest moment in this game has to be when he's straight up wrestling with the God of War. He's grown 900 inches like a kin-slaying Mario brother, glistening in the full 180p of a PS2 Moonlight. If he's got enough strength here to match the current God of War, from here on out, he'll be godlike, right? We need a frame of reference for his strength, so let's talk about the prequels. God of War Ascension takes place before every other game in the franchise, when Kratos is theoretically at his weakest. The gameplay reinforces this by having you pick up random weapons to fight with that haven't been infused with power from the primordial realm of chaos, and burdening fun gameplay with the rage meter because this game sucks. A lot of the enemies in this game are stronger than Kratos, so he has to stun them to initiate a minigame. But it's like a mini game where you don't even end up hurting them most of the time. Bro, that guy actually looks happier.
I'm gonna get my life together.
The final minigames are more visceral than in other entries, but indicate that Kratos is truly having a hard time offing these things. The rage meter controlling his access to combos and abilities also indicates that he's heavily relying on the raw power of the blades instead of his own ability to control them. And finally, he can't tap into the rage of the gods here. Right now, it's just rage of the baldies. I also have this power. The weakest moment in the game is when he struggles to remove the little guy from the slightly bigger guy. God of War 3 Kratos would just chop him off with the blades real quick, but this was just tough to watch, man. I do love that part though. His strongest moment is during the final boss when he impales the grossest fucking thing I've ever seen onto this spike, which is basically what he's able to do at the start of God of War 1, so I guess it makes sense. Ascension has to be Kratos at his weakest. The second prequel, chronologically, is Chains of Olympus, where Kratos is canonically 3 inches tall, but even 10-pixel PSP Kratos is stronger than Ascension. You can grab 90% of the enemies in the game without damaging them first, and the rage meter is gone, indicating that our boy absorbed that shit into his body like Kirby. And now he is the rage meter. The Gauntlet of Zeus amps the power up to 11, with the Blade of Olympus possibly being the only thing stronger than it. One thing I never really see mentioned in discussions about this game is that Kratos kills Persephone, who is definitely a god. So when Ares dies, the Olympians are like, whoa, a mortal killed a god? That's crazy! And Persephone's in the underworld like, he didn't even need the power from Pandora's box to do it. Also, Charon is technically a god as well, and he cut that man in half, and then took the top half of that half, and Jesus Christ, just play your flute, Calliope. I think he's actually stronger in Chains than he is in God of War 1. His weakest moment is when he struggles to overpower a thick Persian man. His strongest moment is when he punches some chain links so hard that Atlas is given a new job. This is the strongest version of the Spartan we've seen so far. Ghost of Sparta occurs during the brief time in his life where Kratos was taking no L's. His family was taking L's constantly, and usually from him. Anyways, Kratos plays like an absolute demon in this game. He can block basically every attack from every enemy, which is highly unusual for the series. The magic in the game wishes it was only hot garbage and not flaming dog shit. So unlike any other time in his life serving the gods, Kratos has to rely on his personal godlike strength and his mastery over the blades of chaos. I'll never not mention the new tackle move into the disrespectful consecutive punches. The arms of Sparta are ridiculously strong in-game, but I don't think they're canonically that powerful. But still, top 3 strongest weapons you can use in the franchise. Our hairless hero kills 2 more gods in this game, one of which is the god of death. Which sounds important, but I'm not exactly sure what he was actually capable of, because Hades runs the underworld and enemies seem to die just fine after Thanatos is taken care of. Maybe he's like a death consultant or like a middle manager type god? It doesn't matter, he sucks. Now this is the god of war that the ancient Greeks were shitting their togas about. His weakest moment in the game is when he gets overpowered by a child and punched in the face repeatedly. But his strongest moment is when he throws said child like he's never heard of prison time. Alright losers, back it up. Ascension, you can stay there. Ghost of Sparta's just mogged all of you. Next up is God of War 2, where Kratos continues life as a full-fledged god. I'm talking 20 minutes of Poseidon's Rage and hitting level 1 bots with a 6-foot-long blue nuke. And what a fun 20 minutes it was. Anyways, Kratos is instantly nerfed and we're back in it, boys. Gameplay-wise, he seems to have the same level of competence with the blades as he did at the end of 1, except now he's a little more aggressive in the minigames. In this game, however, Kratos fights and struggles to beat an alarming number of completely normal mortal dudes. You've got the fight with the last Spartan that lasts longer than 3 seconds somehow. Gollum impersonator Icarus manages to throw Kratos all the way into the underworld, delaying his journey by hours at least. Odysseus might be the hardest boss fight in the game, and he's literally just a dude. In the same game where Kratos fights a 50-foot tall bronze automaton and a 100-foot tall king of the gods, Random Old Man is the #1 cheek clapper. You might not agree with me about his power level here, but you have to admit, this is the only game where a guy pulls out a sling menacingly, the preferred weapon of pissed off 8-year-olds. The fact that the sling even does damage to him shows that my goat is washed. Kratos' strongest moment in the game is when he stops Atlas's fingers from completely crushing him somehow. I mean, how the fuck did he do this? And his weakest moment is when he gets completely mogged by the Barbarian King and loses aura to a horse. This is the only game where random guys bully the God of War. And for that reason, God of War 2 Kratos is just barely stronger than Ascension Kratos. I'll just get this out of the way right now. God of War 3 is insane compared to the rest of them. If you average all the other Greek games, he's knocking off like 1.3 gods on average per game. In 3 alone, he caps 8 gods and 2 titans. Now that doesn't necessarily mean he's stronger than he was in other games, except it does, and he is. The challenges Kratos endures from the depths of the underworld to the peaks of Olympus are many. I mean, this guy is truly suffering. And after each historic battle, he spends about half a second considering what he did, jacks their shit, and leaves. When his grandfather Kronos eats him, he uses the weapon that ended the Great War as a tummy tickler. Hephaestus surprises him with the Greek electric chair, and not only does it not work at all, Kratos immediately sleeps with his wife. His brother Hercules squares up, 12 feet tall and yoked. Not 3 minutes later, Kratos is wearing Herc's gear and panning for gold in his forehead. He's faster than the fastest god, crazy enough to launch himself through them, and can literally literally eat their soul for all eternity. Jesus Christ. The other games aren't even close. He's the strongest in 3 for sure. Well, that covers the Greek saga, but what about the Norse games, right? He's got a much more casual strength in these entries, lifting up trees, blowing through chests, beating a rock into submission, and then hitting another guy with the humiliated rock. I think a lot of people assume that Kratos isn't as strong in these games because he doesn't reach the insane feats of strength that 3 shows off. But my response to that is simple. The plot did not demand it. If you put every other game in the Greek saga up against 3, he also looks very weak. The Norse pantheon is more grounded. They rely much more on their physical strength, while the Greek gods tended to favor magic. Thor, Balder, Magni, Modi, they've all got magic-infused weapons and powers from godhood, but they mostly just want to punch you in the face. Kratos actually gets to use more of his Spartan training against the Norse gods, opting to fight with his fists, shield, and eventually even spear when he has the chance. He uses the axe and the blades as useful and powerful tools, but those Spartan roots run deep. It may not be as visually striking as flying 90 miles per hour into a seahorse, but this version of the character is every bit as dangerous. Not to mention the fact that besides the blades that are stuck with him forever, he's been cut off from the Greek magic entirely at this point. So he basically came to their world weakened, lived in a shack for 100 years, and then destroyed their pantheon as soon as they bothered him. I'm putting Norse Kratos just behind 3 until we see what happens in the next game. There's my official opinion for you to roast in the comments, but if it gets too heated, I swear to God I'll pull the sling out menacingly.